All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our course selection workshop. We're very excited to be welcoming you this afternoon, and we'll jump right in. Before we start, I just want to check that everyone in this session is in one of these programs listed on the screen. So this session is specifically for students in the Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Arts and Science, Bachelor of Applied Science, and the Bachelor of Creative Arts, Health, and Wellness. If you're in the wrong session, you can find the correct link in our START guide, as well as in the emails that you were sent from the START team. And for those of you that are in these programs, you are all a part of the McKinnon Hub when it comes to academic advising. So welcome. Our agenda for today will be beginning with a land acknowledgement. Then we'll go over some common terms in course selection, show you the registration guide for new students, show you how to use WebAdvisor, the tool that you'll be using for course selection. Our academic advisors will be telling you a bit about academic advising at U of G. And then we've got some notes for course selection for transfer students and international students as well. We'll be ending our session today with some frequently asked questions. You'll be able to post questions in the Q&A section. So the chat is closed, but you can post any questions in the Q&A, and our team will look to get back to you. As we begin our workshop, I just want to take a moment to recognize the land on which we gather. So today you might be from across the province of Ontario, from across Canada, or maybe even you're joining. I am at our University of Guelph campus on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe, on the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, and acknowledging them reminds us of the relationship that we have to this land where we all learn and grow. If you're joining us from outside of Guelph, you can check out the Native Land website where you can find out about the traditional peoples who reside on your territory. Now, I'm Janessa, and I'm a member of the START team. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the coordinator of student transitions and engagement. I'm part of student experience, and I work with a team of 5 student staff who will help you through your transition through your first year at the University of Guelph. Also, and you'll see Kimya in the Q&A responding to your questions. Kimya uses she, they pronouns, and they are a START orientation facilitator who is part of my team. So you'll see them in the Q&A helping to respond to some of your questions. If you ever have any questions, you can always email start@uoguelph.ca, and myself or a member of my team will get back to you. I'm going to bring up some members of our academic advising team. Cheryl and Sarah, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cheryl Masovic. I also use she, her pronouns. I am the senior academic advisor within our McKinnon Hub, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you to the fall semester. I hope that you are excited, and I hope that you will find today informative so that you have some great tools that will help your transition as you join the institution.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I use she, her pronouns as well. I'm one of the academic advisors in the McKinnon Hub. I actually have a background. I used to teach high school, and I've worked with first years on campus and housing as well. So I definitely have a soft spot for those first years transitioning from high school to the University of Guelph. But I'm here to support you along with some other members that aren't here to join us today. But we're excited to get going and to learn a little bit more about course selection.
Okay, so what is an academic advisor? This is a common question that we do get from students. And essentially, an academic advisor at the university is essentially a lot like your high school guidance counselor. Academic advisors would help for you to navigate through your degree requirements. We help with things like course selection, which will be coming up soon. We can help with your academic planning, where you would, if you had questions about the major that you've been admitted to, if you would like to do a minor, we are the folks that would help through those processes. We are also here to help you through transition. Sometimes the first year can be challenging, sometimes it can be a lot of fun, but we are also a great place to come to if you just don't know where to go. We know a lot of the campus services, and so we really truly are part of your transition when you join the university. Each of our degree programs does have a suite of advisors. Within the McKinnon Hub, we have various degree programs, and we also have advisors that are dedicated to each of those degree programs. So we'll share a little bit later on just sort of how to get in touch with who your advisor would be. But we're essentially here to help you navigate your degree requirements. We are not the only people who can help on campus with transition with advising. We also have what we would call a faculty advisor, and a faculty advisor essentially is an actual faculty member. So it might be somebody who actually teaches courses, might be someone who actually teaches you one of your first year courses, but a faculty advisor would be a great person to connect with if you were actually ever thinking about extending your studies into a professional or a master's program. They're really equipped to helping students navigate that process. They can also help you with things like if you wanted maybe more in-depth information on actual courses and the types of courses that you would be taking as part of your degree. That's where faculty advisors can really assist. And to find them, we do have a centralized page where students can go and look to see who their faculty advisor is, but essentially they are the expert on your actual major.
So I see this question come up in the Q&A already, but here are the dates for course selection along the right-hand side there. So you'll see the Bachelor of Arts degree program selects July 9th at 8 a.m., while the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences, the Bachelor of Applied Sciences, and the Bachelor of Creative Arts, Health and Wellness select the same day, July 9th, but at 1 p.m. So some tips for you folks is to plan ahead. So even today, which I recommend you do it before July 9th, you can log into WebAdvisor to view available courses and sections and plan a schedule that works for you. So unique from perhaps your high school experience, you will be selecting your own courses through this system, WebAdvisor, that we will review today. But you may see a course, like an intro course, such as Psych 1000, that may be available in a couple different formats. It may be available Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 2:20. It may be available Wednesday nights, and it may be available online. So you'd be making a schedule that best works for you and the other courses that you require. So you can log in now and start to play around and create a schedule that meets your needs. I also recommend that you are flexible. Courses do fill up quickly, so be ready with second choices. You will get the courses that you need for first year. So if you are in first year English, we've set up our course selection system so that you will be able to access first year English. So I don't want you to think that that's what we mean, but when it comes to some of those electives or classes where you get a bit of choice, be ready with some second choices, whether that be a different section of the same course or a different course altogether. Your selection process will be smoother if you do have other options ready. So be up, ready, and logged in. This is for the morning selector, so Bachelor of Arts, before 8 a.m. On your course selection morning. The longer you leave course selection, the more sections that will be filled. So as an example, if you can arrange to be free that morning, like if you can arrange to take the morning away from work or whatever other commitments you may have, I recommend doing so if possible. What we really don't want is students leaving it for weeks, and in which case classes do slowly fill up and you may be more limited in what your selection is. This is a huge one for all degree programs across campus. Know that you may not get all 5 courses in one swoop. So you may plan this beautiful schedule. When you go to click register morning of, you may get an error for a class that says that class is restricted, or maybe it's full already. We're going to go over what that means and what you should do later in the presentation. But course selection goes from July 9th all the way until the first week of classes. So if you're getting in 3 of the classes you really wanted day 1, know that class 4 may come the week after, class 5 may come the week after that. But that's normal. And there's no need to panic and feel that you are not going to get the classes you need if you don't get them right at 8:05 a.m. So we're going to go over some tips and tricks on what those restrictions and such look like. But be patient, keep waiting, keep checking, read your email. We often send great information about what's going on in the background for course selection. There's also websites that will be kept up to date. Again, information that we will share with you. Totally normal not to get all 5 in one swoop, so plan for that.
Okay, so just going to go over a couple of common terms that you might need to know about course selection. We do have what we refer to as our course selection windows. This is something that really more as an upper level year student, you're going to want to pay attention to. You'll have time to sort that through because as a first year student, the date that we had shared with you earlier, July 9th, that is when you would select your courses. We do it by the number of credits that students have earned. And so as a first year student, you will have not had earned any credits yet. So that's the date that you would select your actual courses. You can plan your courses in WebAdvisor. That is something that you have the ability to do so that you have everything ready to go. And the day of course selection, when your window opens, you can just select the register button and that will push things through for you. The University of Guelph uses what we call a credit system. And so most of our courses that you will see are weighted at a 0.5 credit. For those of you who might be in the music major coming to Guelph, we also have some courses that are weighted at a 0.25 credit. And so that's something that we can often see students when you're putting your courses together. If you were planning to study full-time in a semester, where we would classify an academic full-time semester, students, you would select essentially up to 2.5 credits. And because we have those nuances of 0.25 credits, in some semesters you might do a 2.75 credit load and then a 2.25 credit load. Specifically, that would be more for a music major, if that's a major that you're coming into. And for most other students, you would typically register an up to 2.5 credits. That's what we would classify you to be in an academic full-time load. And for students who are in an honors major and looking to complete your degree requirements over the course of fall and winter only over 4 years, you would typically register in 2.5 credits. For the purposes of OSAP, or our definition of what we do classify to be full-time, they're different terms. We do classify 1.5 credits to be considered full-time, and anything less than 1.5 credits would be considered part-time. And students do pay tuition on your credits earned. So if you are taking a full-time semester, you would pay a flat rate tuition on 2.0 credits and higher, and then anything below that, you would pay per credit. You will have required courses. We'll get into that a little bit more in detail when we talk about the specific degree programs, but every student is going to have electives. An elective really and truly is that. All degree programs, all majors will require students to select electives. Some may have more than others, but we often get the question of, what should I pick for my elective? And really an elective is something that you may have the desire to take, anything that is appealing to you, that you think you'll get personal value out of. That's typically what we would recommend when you're thinking of selecting an elective. Sarah had mentioned that there is sometimes electives where we might get a restriction on it, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Perfect. So some more common terms in course selection. We'll often talk about the undergraduate calendar. So this includes all university policies and procedures, as well as exactly what your degree program and major requires for you to complete that curriculum. So I would recommend, or I'm going to start here. The calendar there's a new one for each academic year, and it's always the year you started. So for you folks, it's the 2026-2027 calendar. Where this becomes relevant is sometimes majors and programs slightly change over the years. And if you just Google English major Guelph, you could accidentally end up on a 2022-2023 calendar, and it could be slightly different than the current requirements. So it says in big bold letters at the top what the calendar year is, and you folks want to make sure you're on 2026-2027. Maybe that's something that they can share in the chat here if you folks want to check that out. I would personally recommend, if you find your major in the 2026-2027 calendar, to go up to the top right corner of your Internet Explorer and mark that as a favorites tab. It's something you're going to be referring to for the next 4 years regularly, so it's nice to have easily on hand. There's also the schedule of dates. So this is a listing of important dates organized by semester. So reasons students want to look at the schedule of dates, which is in the academic calendar, by the way, is when is reading week in February, so you folks can plan accordingly. When do exams go? When do they start and when do they finish? So a lot of families are looking for when to pick you up and when they can do those sorts of things. You can plan for that. It'll also say important dates such as the last day to drop classes. So it's important that you have a pulse on the schedule of dates. Again, it's along the right-hand side of the academic calendar. Make sure you're on the right year, and that's a really good resource for you folks. And a big one, I'd say the biggest one of the day, is a WebAdvisor. So this is a system all you students use for course selection, the talk of today, but also viewing your progress within your degree program. So that's something you folks can navigate getting towards the finish line solo. So as an example, you're in 4th year now. It'll say you still require this English class and any humanities at the 3,000 plus, and you also need an extra psych for your minor. It'll tell you those things as long as your majors and minors are, of course, declared. It's also a tool you'll look at with your academic advisors when you're coming in for assistance. And it's also where you can check your tuition bill, apply to graduate, and more. So we're going to actually watch a little video on WebAdvisor in a moment.
Okay, I am seeing some of the questions in the chat, and I do think that this is sort of helpful. The registration guide, we're seeing a lot of questions about where do I go? How do I know what courses I will select? And we do have a registration guide that we have put together that is specific to degree program. It's a place where you can go and actually see exactly a guide that will tell you alongside of the academic calendar that Sarah had mentioned. If you can look, you'll see your major, but the registration guide is actually a step-by-step, can really give you some information. I'm wondering, can we get to the registrar page where we can see the registration handbook? Perfect. So this is exactly what the registration guide looks like. You should have this information that will have already been sent to you from our START team. When you're looking here, if you take a look and you're wanting to select the courses, there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can actually just click the Find Your Program tab. And if we went to the program information page specifically, this is going to hopefully take you then to the degree program. So as we can see here, if we were just to use the Bachelor of Arts as a quick example, and you clicked on this, this will actually give you some really great information about the program itself. And if we scroll down, you'll be able to find and locate your specific major. And it's going to show you exactly the breakdown of what we would recommend that you would pick. So if you were coming into anthropology, for example, here's exactly what we would lay out for what you would need to take. Similarly, you're going to find the same things if you're an applied science program student, if you're a Bachelor of Arts and Sciences student. We'll get to those in a minute, but this just gives you a breakdown of what you would need. So the registration handbook is a very big tool, and it really is the tool that we want you to use to help facilitate and answer your questions that you might have.
I am back to talk about WebAdvisor. So I mentioned this a little bit, but WebAdvisor is where I'm sure most of you folks have logged in. It sounds like from the questions that you folks are there, but you will, if you're not sure what we're talking about, when you were accepted, you would have been sent your Guelph login. So you would use your, like mine's Bradley S, whatever yours is, to log into your WebAdvisor platform. That's where you will see, you will select your courses. You will also track your academic progress, access your financial information, etc. This is a little screen of what it looks like. So I'm just, sorry, I'm coming really close to the screen here. But you can see that it shares what the GPA required is, what program the student is, and then it has a little bar across that shows as you make progress towards the finish line. So this is what it will look like, and it will populate as you complete courses. We can go to the next slide there. This is a link that we will ensure that you folks have access to, but this is a really good informative video to show you folks how to log in, how to search for classes, how you can look at your schedule and plan accordingly. We won't watch the whole video together. It's long, and I want you folks to really be able to engage with it, but we'll make sure you folks have access to it, and we'll watch a little bit of it to get an idea.
Welcome to the Student Planning Informational Series for the University of Guelph, Ridgetown Campus, and University of Guelph, Hamburg. Student Planning is a self-serve system available to all U of G, Ridgetown, and Guelph Hamburg students who are actively enrolled in a program. It combines optional degree planning with intuitive course search tools and registration in a new, easy-to-navigate online environment. To assist both new and returning students, a series of training videos has been developed to help guide you through the most common features of student planning. In this video, we will cover how to create a course plan. Creating a plan of your degree allows you to take a proactive step in ensuring all your degree requirements are covered without any surprising setbacks that may hinder your graduation. This can be done by planning current and future semesters based on previous terms. You create a plan by adding the desired courses to a course plan. It is important to understand you have not registered for these courses, but rather you plan to register for the course in the term you have added the planned course to. You are not obligated to register for a planned course, nor are you billed for the planned course until you register. You can add, remove, or move planned courses into any path that you want.
To get started, go to WebAdvisor and click on the Access WebAdvisor button. Enter your central login username and password if you are not yet signed in. Then, select Student Planning.
This brings us to the planning overview page.
This is
At a
probably a
glance, you
good
will find a
place
variety of
to
features which may
stop
be
that. But I just wanted you folks to see that it's really going to walk you through what you need to do. I recommend it. I saw it was 7 minutes. Grab a piece of paper and a notebook, maybe a support person if you have a parent or a friend or a sibling helping you, and to make sure that you understand how to use this online platform. We can go to the next slide now, though. So this is similar spirit. This is registering for courses. We're going to watch a little bit of it and then we can go on from there, but we'll make sure that these videos are posted for you so you can all find the links easily. A really good tool to get you guys comfortable on the platform.
Welcome to the Student Planning Informational Series for the University of Guelph, Ridgetown Campus, and University of Guelph-Humber. Student Planning is a self-serve system available to all U of G, Ridgetown, and Guelph-Humber students who are actively enrolled in a program. It combines optional degree planning with intuitive course search tools and registration in a new, easy-to-navigate online environment. To assist both new and returning students, a series of training videos has been developed to help guide you through the most common features of student planning. In this video, we will cover how to register for courses using student planning. For information about when you can register for courses, visit your campus's course selection webpage.
To get started, go to WebAdvisor and click on the Access WebAdvisor button. Enter your central login username and password if you are not yet signed in. Expand the menu on the left-hand side and select Academics. Under Student Planning, click on Plan, Schedule, Register, and Drop.
This brings you to the Plan and Schedule page. By default, this will load the current plan and course registration of the current semester. To view and register for another term, please use the navigation arrows to navigate to the desired term. For this example, we wish to register for courses for the upcoming fall 2021 semester. To register for a course section must have already been added to the term plan. If
So you
this has
can
not
pause
already
that
been
then
done,
there if you don't mind. Thank you so much. So I see some questions that have asked something similar in spirit to this, like how can I know what time of day my specific courses are? So when you're on WebAdvisor and looking up the courses, it will tell you, like I used the example of psych before, but there may be psych offered at 4 different times. So you would pick one that works for you. And then if you see the schedule here on screen, it will populate into a bird's eye view of your week. And you want to create a schedule where there's no overlap. So sometimes it does mean like, oops, I can't go there because my required geography goes there. So once I put my required geography in, I'm going to move psych somewhere else. Like you would be playing around with that to create a schedule that works for you. And that's where I went into previously, that you can pick your ideal schedule and then morning of have a couple backups in mind should you be required to move some things around. But those 2 videos are a really, really great place to start if you haven't navigated around WebAdvisor yet.
Okay, so this is our Bachelor of Arts degree. So any student who's been admitted to the Bachelor of Arts degree program, we have put the QR code here on this slide intentionally because this will take you actually to the registration handbook, as we had already showed you in the earlier example of how to get there. This will actually take you directly to where you need to go so that you can decide or find your major and you can pick the courses that you need to take. Something to know about the Bachelor of Arts degree program is that it actually is quite flexible in nature. Some of our majors we have as little as 8.5 credits. We have up to 10.5 credit majors. So you're going to add in some electives in place where we have space to do that. You may only have 1 or 2 required courses that you're going to need to take during your first year when you come into the institution. So what we typically will recommend is we also have what we call some BA distribution requirements. And without getting fairly specific. There are some requirements that that you will need to fulfill that meet these category of courses. So we have some natural sciences, we have some social sciences, and strictly some arts and humanities that are actually required for you to complete your degree requirements. And you've got some choice on the courses that you do take. In terms of natural sciences, as a BA student, you will not need to have any type of science background, so don't worry about that piece. We do list a bunch of different courses that are popular and that students can take to fulfill those requirements. So we typically recommend that when you're selecting first year, that you will take some time to build in those distribution requirements so that you get those completed. Because the BA is such a flexible degree, it does really give you the opportunity to explore some other areas. So we do encourage that by maybe taking on elective courses that you might find appealing. And so we would encourage you to select courses that you see personal value in. And then you would add in your major courses in and around those. And so you would just create your schedule. So when you're building your schedule, we would recommend going to that registration handbook, taking a look at what is required for the major, maybe coming up with a list of some of the courses that are appealing to you to help fulfill your distribution requirements, and then adding in some electives around that. So that essentially is the BA in a bit of a nutshell. I would definitely take some time to go through that registration guide, because that will give you a lot of really helpful and useful information.
Bachelor of Arts and Sciences. So within the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences, there is no major. In a roundabout way, some students would refer to arts and sciences as like the area that they're studying. But the framework does use 2 minors, and kind of different than other degree programs, you come in undeclared. So those of you in the session now that are in arts and sciences and you do know what your intended minors are, I actually recommend using the link there. And if someone doesn't mind sharing it in the chat, the ORS-Schedule of Studies link, I'd recommend taking a moment to declare those minors, if you do know what direction you'd like to go. Sometimes that can help with course selection, and it can also help with your planning tool. It'll be able to communicate to you, you need this much more for biology or this much more for English. Right now, being undeclared, it doesn't know what your desired combination is, so it has a hard time guiding you. So feel free to do that. It does take, I believe we answered this in the chat, it can take a week-ish to be updated, especially given that it's peak course selection season and lots of students are moving stuff around. So I would recommend doing it like now, and not doing it like the day before course selection if you are hoping to have that in place. You do not need to declare your minors until end of first year if that's something you're more comfortable with. As a BAS student, you will select 5 classes, about 2.5 credits a semester. That'd be the same as the other degree programs today. But your 5 classes will be broken down into 1 arts and science class, 2 arts classes, and 2 science classes. So that gives you a nice balance between the arts and sciences in your day. So you'd plan ASC 11-10 in the fall and ASC 11-20 in the winter. And then to choose what your 2 arts are in the fall and your 2 science are in the fall, you can get more information on the registration guide. Do we mind going to the registration guide under arts and sciences? We can have a peek at that. Thank you so much. So you'd go to the registration guide. Perfect. Registration guide for new students, arts and sciences, and it brings you to this page. And if you scroll down a little bit more, it'll talk about, sorry, a little bit higher. There's a link I'd love you to click. It says in the middle, a helpful chart can be found here on the BAS website. We don't need to go to it today, but I would like you folks to click on that if you do know what your intended minors are. It will break it down right down into neuroscience requires Chem 1040, Chem 1050, Psych 1000, etc. So it'll tell you exactly what you need. if you don't know what your intended minors are, this registration guide will also walk you through how you might go about selecting your classes, your arts and sciences that way. So the registration guide's really, really helpful, and I recommend you take some time to get to know it when you're selecting your courses. Yeah, the link to the registration guide's right there. And if you have remaining questions after navigating the registration guide and some of those links, you can email bas@uofguelph.ca with some follow-up questions. It would mostly be myself, but some academic advising peers as well. We would hope that you have read that information beforehand. Thank you.
Okay, the Bachelor of Applied Science, for those who have been admitted here, again, we've got that QR code available to take you to the registration handbook. We would encourage that you take a scan of that and that you visit the page. Bachelor of Applied Science, we have 3 majors, and each major is actually very prescribed for the most part. There is a little bit of flexibility, but you will have more prescribed courses that you'll need to pay attention to. I would like to note too that some of the majors, like particularly applied human nutrition, when you're building your schedule, you might come across some courses that have associated labs with them. And so I would just sort of recommend when you're planning your schedule to pay attention. Our lecture times and the lab times are built together in one section. So you might see that the lecture for, say, if you require Chem 1040, they may offer Chem 1040 lecture Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you would have a designated lab time of maybe Tuesday from 7 till 10 p.m. at night. And so you do want to make sure when you're looking to plan your schedule to pay attention to any courses that may have affiliated seminar times and or lab times, because you will want to make sure that when you're building those courses out, that you are planning a conflict-free schedule. WebAdvisor does not prevent you from registering in a conflict, so that's where you do want to pay attention to that piece. We strongly advise that you do follow your program plan in this degree program, because you will note that there are courses that actually act as prerequisites, so you need them to progress through your degree. So it is important to try and plan out the courses as you see them laid out for you. It is recommended when you're going to that tool and you're using the WebAdvisor tool for the schedule and plan part, that you add your required courses first. You may notice, because some of the courses that are prescribed in this program, you might see that there's a little TBD that is beside, there might not be a section number. It just says TBD. And it's like, well, what does that mean? It actually means that this course may be offered in a virtual format. So we do have virtual classes. Some might show up as what we call ADS, like synchronous, where it's going to be offered in a virtual format, but you would actually log in at a specific time and day, but the whole course is actually offered remotely. And you actually may have classes that are completely done online. So if you're putting together your schedule and you see something like a TBD and there is no associated class time, it's likely because it is in a distance education format and the course content will be delivered completely remotely. So here again, we would just say refer to that registration handbook. Make sure you're planning your courses as you see them identified. And if you did have any questions, sort of once you've gone through everything and you've attempted to build your schedule, then we do have the contact email address there that you can reach out to, basprog@uofguelph.ca.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the feedback that the QR codes aren't working. It seems that the QR codes themselves are working, but the actual page may be overloaded. I went to the page to pull the link for you folks to send it, and I can't get on it in this moment either. It just maybe is like a volume thing. So stay tuned and click those links. The pages we've been showing you will work for you shortly, and I apologize for that. So first of all, for my Bachelor of Creative Arts, Health and Wellness folks, you are a new degree program. This will be the third incoming class, and it's been going so wonderfully. And we love the students we have here on campus. In the transition, you will see some places where Bachelor of Creative Arts, Health and Wellness is referred to as BCA. And there are other places, such as the email at the bottom of the screen, that it'll be BCA HW, and that's that health and wellness piece. So for now, tomato, BCA or BCAHW, we are referring to your degree program. So your first year plan, we'll peek at the registration guide. I think that Janessa's is still open, so I think that we should be good to go. And if we scroll down to the Bachelor of Creative Art, oh, yeah, yeah, perfect. Bachelor of Creative Arts, Health and Wellness. We broke it down by a major. So music majors, we list the classes there. Cheryl mentioned this early, whether you're BA music or BCA music, because of the ensembles you folks are a part of, you will have some 0.25 classes in first year. So you'll hear us say that a standard first year is 2.5 credits, but for you folks, it may be 2.75 or 2.25, whether you whichever you feel comfortable with. So just so you know, music students, you may be a little bit different there. But if you can scroll down a little bit more, Janessa, there's studio art and your 2.5 listed, as well as theater and your 2.5 a semester listed. So once the link's working, and maybe for some of you is and some of you, but that's where you want to go and peek to see what you need. Your course class should be clean. Your classes are, and we'll highlight the PowerPoint much for BCA students, because it's been on my mind today, is the registration guide mentions taking Psych 1000 in the fall. I just want to share that you are welcome to take it in the winter if you'd prefer. Sometimes it's easier to get into the in-person Psych 1000 in the winter, and in the fall, sometimes the seats just remaining tend to be DE for students who aren't majors in psychology. So that's flexible, and I want you folks to know that. If you want to move Psych 1000 to the fall, you're welcome to do that, and that's for all the majors within BCA. Similar to what Cheryl mentioned in applied science, courses are quite staggered in creative arts, health and wellness, meaning the fall class is a prereq to the winter class and onward. So it's important that you look at the registration guide, and other than the Psych 1000, which I mentioned, you do your best to follow that progression. So you folks will plan Crea 1000 and typically Psych 1000 in your first semester and Crea 1010 in the second. The other courses do change depend on your major. So go check out the registration guide. You don't take, which is a common question from you folks, Psych 1010 until fall of second year. So no need to panic when you're restricted from that. You'll take it fall of second year, which is why it's okay to take Psych 1000 either semester. And if you look at the registration guide and have remaining questions, the email's there at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, for folks today who might be joining us as a transfer student, meaning you've actually completed some post-secondary education already and are a newly admitted transfer student, what we typically would recommend is on the letter of offer that you would have received from admissions, you would be provided with the contact information for your academic advisor. We typically would recommend that a transfer student do try to connect with us so that we can arrange an actual appointment. The reason for this is just because we'd be able to take a look at the transfer credits that you've been awarded in the system, and we'd be able to let you know how those transfer credits apply toward the major that you've been admitted to, and then we can help to identify where your best starting point might be. If you have sort of less than 5 credits of transfer, maybe 2.5 credits, you may be able to go ahead and put things together on your own, and that's fine. We would still recommend at some point touching base with our office. But essentially anything sort of beyond the 2.5 credits, we typically would recommend that a student book an appointment with the applicable advising office, just so that we can help to determine your actual requirements, because you may actually be starting at a different place than a regular high school student. You can absolutely visit, the academic calendar. You can still look at the new registration handbook, look at the applicable degree program advising web pages. There are normally, or some of them will have some information about transfers, but ultimately the takeaway would be that, if you've got transfer credits that have been awarded, that it might be helpful to do a quick check-in so that we can help. Coming to the University of Guelph as a transfer student in the fall is actually wonderful, because we really do have a lot of really great orientation events in place for transfer students, and there's a lot of information that you can find on the Start of U of G website, so we do encourage that you also go there for some supports.
Hello again. So transfer credits for high school courses. So I know some of you folks are in different programs such as IB, or especially international students. We see a lot of these as well. So you are eligible to receive transfer credits like through the University of Guelph, but I can't comment necessarily on obviously individual people's credits, but these are the ones that we mainly accept, listed on the screen there. I recommend that you're in touch with admissions to make sure that you send them the final information. I know that sometimes I talk to students in the fall and they mention passing an IB test past the date they already accepted Guelph, and they're wondering about their credit. We would reconnect with admissions and get admissions the information about the past tests you've done, and they would update your transfer credits. So if you are feeling like you're not seeing them or you're unsure that they're there, I recommend connecting with admissions to make sure that they have all the information that they require. And then if you do get a couple of transfer credits and you're not really sure how they're applying to your degree program, you can talk to your academic advisor and just do a little touch base about seeing how your transfer high school courses will apply to your program and how you can plan knowing that those are there. So first step, admissions, and make sure you've sent them what they need. Second step, talk to your academic advisor about how they work.
Okay, and welcome to all of our international students. If you are an international student that will be joining the University of Guelph in the fall, there are some specific things in particular that you may find helpful. So we actually recommend that you visit. We have a great on the student experience website, a really great website dedicated to welcoming our international students, and a lot of the support that we have available. There can be layers as an international student, and so we are here to help navigate that process. You can book some one-on-one appointments with a GPS advisor if you need any assistance at all, navigating any of sort of the steps that might be required coming to the institution as an international student. So again, that QR code might be able to help get you some information that you will need. Essentially, when it comes to course selection and picking your courses, we do recommend that you adhere to the full-time load, which by definition, full-time load as an international student would be 1.5 credits and higher. Some students may end up taking the 2.5 credits, which would be the academic full-time load. But we would recommend that whatever degree program you've been admitted to, your courses, everything else would still remain the same. So pick your courses according to how we've already established. And then for that further support, you may just want to check in with one of our advisors specifically, and or visit the website just so that you have access to the information, contact information of those folks who can help you there.
Hello. Sorry, I was answering a question. I want to make sure I entered it. Perfect. Important dates and deadlines. So June 15th was undergraduate registration deposit was due. So I want to remind you folks that that's one thing that sometimes happens come course selection date, that students are going to register for their classes on July 9th and aren't able to because they have not yet paid that deposit. So I would recommend you, if you didn't meet that June 5th deadline, get in there ASAP and get that deposit paid. You won't be able to register for classes until that has happened. We had TBA for course selection windows because we just learned those this morning. That's that July 9th date, 8 a.m. for BA students, 1 p.m. for the other degree programs here today, Bachelor of Applied Science, Creative Arts, Health and Wellness, and Bachelor of Art and Sciences. Late July is when your semester bill will be posted on WebAdvisor, and September 18th is the fall semester payment deadline.
Okay, so this might be the part that is super helpful. I don't know how much time we have, but we'll try to answer as many questions as we have now. We've been plugging away here at the chat when we are available. We do have some common questions. I think this one on the slide has actually already been addressed about how many credits should I take in this semester. As I mentioned, if you were planning to study what we would refer to as an academic full-time load, where if you were doing a 4-year degree and wanted to complete your studies by just doing 4 years, just fall, just winter, then you would want to register in up to 2.5 credits in each of your semesters. What electives? Oh, sorry, Sarah, I just took over there.
Oh, that's okay. I was gonna go for it. Electives to take. First, I recommend reading the registration guide to see like how many electives you have. Sometimes you'll see that, like, I'm thinking of Creative Arts, Health and Wellness right now. On your registration guide, it'll say anti-oppressive classes and has a big list for you. Some students will interpret that as an elective, but technically that's like a requirement for your degree, but you have lots of choice there. But if it's a true elective, you can take whatever interests you. So you might be in Bachelor of Arts, CJPP, but some of you may be business minded and want to go take some business electives. Other people may be writers and want to go take some English classes and be following your interests there for your true electives. Again, take a peek at the registration guide to make sure, or to see how much elective space you have in first year.
So what happens if a required course says it's full? This can happen. And also I'm going to sort of touch base on, what happens if you try to register for a course and it says it is restricted. Some courses, departments will place what we call a priority access restriction on them, meaning that if you came in to do criminal justice and public policy as your major, but you did really actually want to take, a creative writing class, sometimes that creative writing introductory course can be restricted to creative writing majors. And that restriction may or may not be temporary, like they may put a temporary restriction on, and then we will have a date for which that restriction will be lifted. That may not be the case across the board. I just wanted to raise that because that's a question we often get is I'm trying to register for a course and it's restricted. And so we do have on our course selection reference page, which I'm hoping we can get the link out. I think that we are seeing a bit of an overload in the system and we have uploaded courses today. So right now it's just running in wheels. And so I can't actually get it to go, but that site will be available. And that's a great reference site because that's where we will list. If there are courses that are restricted, you'll be able to see that. And then they'll also have the corresponding date to when those course restrictions will will be lifted. If a course is full and it's something that is required, we would always recommend to still register. We have a waitlist function. We would recommend to add yourself to that full course if it's a required course for your studies. We often recommend, and I'm hoping that all of you who are on the call today will really take the advice that when your window opens, please register for your courses, because a delay in registration can mean that courses that you do need will fill. So we do strongly encourage that you pick your courses as soon as that window opens. But if it is a required course that's full, add yourself to the wait list, and we would just recommend to be patient to see what happens. If, say, by end of August, that required course is not moving up and you're still on the wait list and you haven't seen your place shift on that wait list, that's when we'd recommend probably reaching out to the academic advising email address that would be pertinent to your degree program, because we would then see if there's anything that we can do to assist. There may not be a lot that we can do, but we would hopefully try to get a sense of if it is a required course, we would do what we could to try to help.
So
I covered this.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say Cheryl touched on this a little bit, but just to kind of echo that, to give you like an example, is if you're in, I keep bringing up psychology, it's just top of mind, I guess. If you're in first year psychology, but you're really interested in taking some, I'm making up a class, but some accounting because you're interested in that side of things, there's a chance that you're restricted from that first year accounting class because they're concerned about all the first year accounting students getting into what they need. On the flip side, the BCom students, someone may be coming in for accounting, they're going to get accounting on day one. They might need to wait for psychology, even though they really have an interest in taking psychology as their electives. So it's not restricted to be punitive, it's restrictive to be supportive of ensuring students get what they need first. So I just want you folks to think of it that way. We're going to make sure you folks get into what your declared majors are, or for BAS students, minors, first, and then it's course selections rolling from there. So that's where we mentioned earlier, where I mentioned it may not all happen in one day. You may not go in and get all 5 classes in one day. I would actually kind of confidently say it's more rare for that to happen. Course selection is rolling and we're lifting restrictions as the majors and the students who need it are able to access that first. So that's why a course would be restricted. Perfect. We have about, okay, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Cheryl.
I was just going to say, we have a few minutes. I did see a common question in the chat that I think might be helpful to address. There's a couple of themes I'm seeing. I've seen some questions about what if I was admitted to this program and I would now like to change my major to something else within the same degree program. So students who might be within a Bachelor of Arts degree admitted to philosophy, but now I'm changing my mind and I'd really like to do psychology. Any type of admission or any type of major change at this point does actually need to be addressed through our admissions office. So if you were looking to change your major within the degree program you have been admitted, you would need to reach out to our admissions@uoguelph.ca email. They will facilitate any type of change up until August the 14th. Anything after August the 14th, we would then be able to assist with that process. Changing a major within a degree program, that information does exist on our advising website. So we would encourage that you take a look at each individual advising website. That would be the same process if you have been admitted, say, to a co-op program and now no longer wish to do that co-op piece. We would recommend that you contact admissions@uoguelph.ca. Sarah, did you have anything else to add?
No, I actually believe that you maybe briefly mentioned this, but when the location or time is listed as TBD, to be determined, I know that can be a bit confusing because it's often our online classes that are coded as DE or distance education. So keep an eye for that. I've seen that question a couple times. But no, that's everything. My main advice for course selection is to plan ahead, read the registration guide, have some backup options, and try your best not to panic. If you need assistance, you can email your academic advisor. But in general, I would try and read my registration guide and get yourself organized there. But we're excited for you and we're here to support as you need us.
All right. Thank you so much, Cheryl and Sarah, for joining us this afternoon. One other question that I just wanted to address is that this workshop is recorded and it will be posted in our online start guide. So if you go to startufg.ca, the website on the screen, you'll be able to access this recording. It'll take a couple days for it to get posted, but just keep checking back there and you'll be able to come back and remind yourself of all the great information that Cheryl and Sarah shared with us today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you later. Bye.